Hello, good morning. My name is Eric van Oten. I'm responsible for a team at Euroclear within system engineering. 4 teams basically, and that group is called Enterprise Systems Group. So I have 10 minutes to show you that at Euroclear we have a true IT challenge. So just one word about Euroclear. We are active in the financial transaction processing, and I'm going to explain what that exactly means. We are the world's largest provider of domestic and cross-border settlements and related services for bonds, equities, and funds. So what that means, in fact, that those are all the activities that you do in the financial market for securities. Our clients, they are banks and financial institutions, brokers, dealers, over 80 countries. Now, our company, Euroclear, in fact, is a group of companies. So we have more than 7 companies in the group. And what we actually, the reason why that happened is that the financial market is typically organized from a national orientation. So typically financial banks in a country, they will organize their financial transactions, let's say, on a national basis, and that's why we have all these companies like Euroclear Finland, Sweden, Euroclear France, Belgium, and so on. So the way that, and why is that important? Because if you are a US bank and you want to deal with a Japanese broker, then you actually have to, and you want to change securities with that broker, then, and if you don't have a settlement system, you basically have to exchange the securities. You have to go to Japan to change those securities. It's the same thing on a national level. It's a lot of headache, and so that's why a settlement system was invented in the 60s with the advent of the computer systems. So let's talk a little bit about financial transaction processing. What does that actually mean? I'm only going to explain about settlement because you have quite a lot of services available, but I think this is the one that you are probably most interested in and that you can refer to. Suppose that you, as you have seen a lot of new things here, and you want to buy some Microsoft shares. So how are you going to do that? So you're going to go to a broker or a dealer, and it's the broker and the dealer who is going to actually, on the stock exchange, buy for you Microsoft shares. You have to have 2 parts. You have to have somebody who sells the shares, somebody who buys the shares. So, and that's the trading level. Now, is the transaction then completed? No. In fact, there are 2 other levels which are quite important, the clearing level and the settlement level. Clearing level, why is that clearing level there? Well, you can have different brokers and dealers, and you have to have a counterparty. So if 2 parties want to exchange securities, then you have always the problem, who comes first? Do I give the cash and do you give me the securities? But no, you give me the cash and I will give you the securities when I receive the cash. So that doesn't really work. So bankers, they don't trust each other. So therefore you have a counterparty, a central counterparty, which actually where you will give the securities and the other party will give the money. And then the exchange will take place. Now, is the deal then done at that moment? No, not really, because you have a settlement step that still needs to be done. And the settlement, that is actually where you have the final payment and where you have the change of ownership. Okay? So this is the step where you actually, from a regulatory or a legal point of view, that's the really step that you are the owner of those shares at that moment. So that's a small introduction to financial transaction processing. Now, if we talk about IT, what does that mean? On the top level, you will see that you have quite a lot of transactions that are ongoing, but small amounts of money. It's only 100 shares. I think the stock is about $26, so it's not that much amount of money. If you go down the stack, you see that the number of transactions are getting lower, but the amount of money is getting much bigger. To give you an idea on that, what we do on our systems, over one day, it's 2 billion euro. So that's a billion being a million times a million. So that's in one day. So what does that actually mean? So it's actually 3 times the gross national product of Belgium. So what all the Belgians produce during a year, that is run 3 times overnight in our systems. So as you can see, it's quite a lot of money that's involved there. So how does that, what does that mean for our IT? in our IT, it means that we need to have a disaster recovery plan that actually works. If you refer to what happened in Fukushima, they definitely had a disaster recovery plan that didn't work. So we are very, very focused on this. And for us, data consistency is one of the key elements. Data consistency, no data loss, and system availability. Why is that the case? You see on the left-hand side in the drawing or on the slide where we have all these companies, they have, of course, not all the same systems. So we have different systems. So we have mainframes, we have Unix, we have Windows, and we have a second data island, which is in fact the tandem systems. What we do there is we create a consistency group among these systems, and that's done in a hardware way. So it's on a disk level that we do that. And then we have on the HPNSK, the tandem side, we have in fact another data island which we reconciliate over application point of view. So there is a lot of levels and level differences between these systems that you have to match up in case of a disaster. Here you see a small overview of our disaster recovery strategy and concepts. We run over 3 data centers. 2 data centers are separated 20 kilometers apart. The third one is in fact 300 to 400 kilometers apart, depends on which wire that you follow. It's based on clustering. So we have something which is called a geocluster, where you have one node sitting in one data center and the other node sitting in the other data center. So if you have a failure of one node, the failure will happen to the node in the next data center. So that's in fact a combination of high availability and disaster recovery. And it's not only, of course, Microsoft clusters that we are using on VMware, but we also have AX clusters, there are mainframe clusters, different types of clusters at that level. Data replication, as I explained, is done between the 2 data centers in a synchronous way. So the DC1 and DC2 is a synchronous way. So it means that if we write a byte on the left-hand side, we write that in a synchronous way on the right-hand side. The third data center, and that's the complication, is asynchronous. So it means that you are running a little bit displaced in time. So 1 minute later than the first data center. Why is that? That is for performance reasons, because you cannot go quicker than the speed of light. Okay, so enterprise consistency. So if one data center fails, we have an image on the second data center and we can restart from there. We are switching all of our production, DC1, so we are running on DC1, we are running the whole production system to DC2 every 6 weeks. And so it means that we are running DC1 for 6 weeks, running DC2 on 6 weeks. A lot of people, in fact, are doing, they run on one data center and they will switch to the other center and they come back in the same weekend, which what we have seen is that you cannot get out all the errors that you can detect, because you have things that are running not every day, but weekly or monthly or even yearly. So that's a good thing to do if you switch it completely. The last step is what we do is the regional disaster test, so the long distance test, where the third data center is isolated from the 2 others, in fact. It's a dangerous test because we have at that moment 2 systems or production systems active on the same time. And so if I can refer again to the nuclear industry, Chernobyl, that was also a disaster recovery test which turned out to be a real disaster. Okay, our offices, we are, as I said, presented in 80 countries. We have 12 offices. There are about 3,600 people at Euroclear. 2,500 of them are in Belgium. About 1,000 people in IT. A lot of nationalities. In Brussels, we have over 50 nationalities working there. And the headquarters is also in Belgium. Okay, you see on the chart, in fact, that we have there a focus on Europe, but also on Asia, with rep offices in Hong Kong. But there are also, of course, activities in the States going on, New York Stock Exchange, obviously, but also in Brazil. So what can we offer? A working environment with state-of-the-art technology in order to support this challenge that we have. There is a real chance to learn about the fast-moving technologies, because we have to have robust technology, things that actually work. Flexible work environment, open space, No allocated desks. So for example, I'm sitting at 3 different desks during the week because I have teams in on different floors. And we have a smart casual dress for those who like that. A competitive compensation package and including attractive benefits, of course. If you want more information on that, or you can visit the euroclear.com jobs HTML link, or you can visit us here at the booth. Thank you very much.